to a lot of youth in different cities that you stopped at. What's your take, because I think you've been early on this, on, 21 Savage had the streets movement that he kind of has been promoting these last...
Like that, the street.
Stop saying my motherfucking name. Don't think, because I'm trying to change.
So you just witnessed 21 Savage clapping back after NBA Youngboy called him out. Real talk, this drama ain't looking like it's wrapping up anytime soon. We're gonna break down the full timeline of this conflict and show you why the heat keeps intensifying, potentially to a point where real danger could pop off. What's actually going down? I'm about to lay it all out for you because there's multiple layers to this whole thing. To really get how we ended up here, let's roll it back some. 21 Savage has been championing his anti-street lifestyle campaign for a good while now, understand? He's been pulling up to various cities, talking to the youth, pushing them to step away from gang culture. From a surface level, that sounds like a W. Can't nobody really criticize someone for wanting to protect lives and whatnot. But here's where it gets messy. When your roots are where 21's roots are, East Atlanta Zone 6, genuine street credentials, and you flip around preaching to others about leaving that world, people are bound to catch feelings. It raises the question, who gave you the green light to dictate how another man should move? You catching my drift? Now 21, he's genuinely walked that path for real. This ain't cap. Man took 6 bullets on his 21st birthday and his homie lost his life. That's genuinely how the name 21 Savage came to be. It ain't just a catchy stage name. It's in memory of his fallen friend. So when he preaches about ditching the street life, he's speaking from lived trauma. He's seen too much pain, buried too many loved ones, and now he's working to break that pattern. Let me provide more context about where 21's mindset truly stems from. Way back in 2013, when he was still fully immersed in street activity, he lost his brother Quantavious to gunfire. Following that, he lost his boy Larry to that same world. These weren't just associates, these were his day ones, people he grew up alongside, individuals he loved like family. Experiencing that type of grief repeatedly, it changes your entire worldview permanently. 21's been open about how his early music glorified the streets. Tracks like No Heart and X represented that world without any filter whatsoever. But with age, financial success, and continuous loss, he started seeing things differently. He understood he carried responsibility, particularly toward young fans who looked up to him. The F the Streets campaign didn't just materialize overnight, it's been building gradually over recent years. Things really accelerated when 21 ramped up his community involvement in Atlanta. He launched the 21 Savage Bank Account Initiative, teaching hood kids about money management. After that came the Leading by Example Foundation, dedicated to helping youth from struggling communities. What really amplified everything was his decision to speak openly about it through media and social platforms. He stopped keeping the work low-key. He started openly advising young people against the gang lifestyle. Back home in Atlanta, where 21's rooted, most people received it positively because they watched his evolution firsthand. They recognize he actually lived through it, so they honor his right to address it. But when he took this campaign to different regions, Chicago, Louisiana, California, reactions got mixed. Some appreciated it. Veterans who survived the streets and lost everything got what he was attempting. But younger cats, the ones still caught up in it, took it as him invalidating their reality, like he was suggesting their experiences don't count or their struggles aren't real. For context, NBA Youngboy and 21 actually had history before this mess popped off. They were cordial, showed appreciation for each other's art, zero issues. Around 2019 and 2020, you'd see them exchanging respect on social platforms. No conflict, no problems. They were two massive artists in their own lanes, moving separately, but with shared respect. But there's another angle you gotta consider. During the whole Lil Durk and NBA Youngboy conflict, 21 got caught publicly supporting Durk's camp. That planted seeds of tension in the background, even without them beefing directly. Let me quickly explain that drama, because it's key to understanding our current situation. The Durk versus YB situation is among the most serious conflicts in hip-hop currently. This transcends just music. Real lives got taken in this, King Von and Quando Rondo's cousin included.
Rapper King Von and his group were at Opium nightclub before making their way here to Monaco Hookah Lounge, then to the parking lot where chaos ensued.
With 21 being Atlanta-based and tight with Durk, he was caught in an awkward position. Now, 21 never straight up disrespected YB or jumped in publicly, but certain moves, getting spotted at events with Durk, social media interactions could have been read by YB's circle as picking sides, regardless of 21's intentions. So tension was already simmering underneath. Then 21 launches this F the Streets campaign. To someone like YB who's still deeply embedded in all that chaos, it likely seemed contradictory. Like, hold up, you were just riding for one side of a street war, now you preaching against the streets? Let's examine NBA Youngboy's position, because understanding both angles matters. YB's 25 and has endured more trauma than most experience in a full lifetime. He's survived shootings, stabbings, multiple arrests, lost friends, been battling court cases for years. For him, the streets aren't something he can just walk away from on demand. He's still dealing with active threats, people actively trying to hurt him. Plus, he's got allegiance to his crew still in dangerous situations. When that's your reality, hearing someone say F the streets can feel like they're minimizing what you're facing. It's like, easy for you to preach when you're already out and don't face what I'm facing. Plus, YB's never been one to modify his stance or chase political correctness. He's consistently kept it authentic about his position and what he stands for. That authenticity is why his fan base rides so hard for him. He keeps it unfiltered. So when YB gets questioned about 21's F the Streets campaign in this latest interview, you could sense he already had opinions brewing. The interviewer mentions it, discussing how 21's been pushing this message toward the youth. And YB, man, he let it rip. I don't give a F about that, YB stated bluntly. I am the streets. I love the streets. I come from the streets. I ain't on all that BS. Yo, hearing that initially, I was stunned, because that goes beyond simple disagreement. That's attacking 21's integrity head on. He essentially labeled the entire campaign BS. That's crossing into personal territory. But YB wasn't finished. He continued, claiming people are misunderstanding the actual message. He's saying it's not about refusing to defend yourself, but simultaneously making crystal clear he disagrees with 21's promotion. Then he dropped this line that really ignited everything. That's the narrative somebody pushing right now, and I'm pushing my narrative. Translation: forget what 21's saying. I'm on my own path. How YB delivered it, with that stress on my narrative, signaled to everyone this wasn't merely casual disagreement. This was him establishing a boundary, declaring he's fundamentally against what 21's advocating. When that interview hit, the internet exploded. People instantly picked sides. Some said YB's dropping truth. You can't dictate how others should live. Others defended 21, saying, nah, he's just trying to preserve lives. What's problematic about that? Twitter erupted. YB supporters claimed 21 was performatively woke and only pushing positivity for optics. 21 supporters argued YB was glorifying violence and toxicity. Things got nasty quick, like these situations inevitably do. But what really captured everyone's focus? The timing. Because right when people assumed it couldn't get more complicated, 21 Savage chose to fire back. This is where attention to detail matters, because 21's response wasn't explicitly aimed at YB, but people understood. Let me set the scene. 21 jumped on social media visibly upset. Man was genuinely bothered and started venting about people mentioning his name and discussing the streets. Technically, he was addressing Fabio Foreign, who'd been throwing shots. But the timing following YB's remarks? Come on, everyone knows what's up. See, Fabio had previously commented on 21, questioning his street authenticity and credibility, but that was relatively mild next to YB's statements. So when 21 dropped this response, people instantly drew connections. 21 came out swinging. Stop saying my name. Don't think because a man's trying to change. Y'all sit down somewhere, man. Straight up. The frustration was audible. This is someone genuinely attempting something constructive and catching criticism from every direction. Then, he really dove in. This is where you could recognize he was addressing multiple people. He said, if you walking around with a 38, don't say nothing to him about the streets. If you 35 or older and been trying to rap since you was a teenager, don't talk to him about the streets. That section could potentially reference Fabio. But then 21 dropped something that grabbed everyone's attention. Y'all keep talking about all this BS. Street this, savage that. Savage shot one of y'all in real life. Y'all know this. Stop playing. Yo, that's him reminding everyone. Don't misunderstand just because he's promoting positivity now. 21 genuinely put in work, and he wants that remembered before anyone gets too comfortable disrespecting him. Then 21 intensified it further. Don't think because Savage on some positive stuff that it's, oh, let's talk about Savage every day. Let's talk about Savage all day. Nah, this ain't that. Y'all still get messed up. Straight up. That's an explicit warning. He's declaring, just because I'm working on self-improvement doesn't equal weakness. Doesn't mean you can continuously provoke me without repercussion. But what really struck me? 21 dug deeper into his reasoning behind all this. He said something that called out numerous rappers discussing street life. Y'all ain't seen enough in the street to even feel how I feel about the street. That's where the disconnect comes in. I don't give a F about what your partners did. I don't give a F about what your hood did. I'm talking to y'all. Y'all as individuals. Y'all ain't did nothing in the street. That hits different because 21's essentially saying many dudes preaching about street activity haven't genuinely experienced it personally. They're adjacent to it or know people involved, but they individually haven't lived through it. And lacking that experience, they can't comprehend why he's pushing people away from it. This is an essential distinction many overlook. Being from the streets differs from being active in the streets. Knowing people who participated differs from participating yourself. And 21's highlighting that distinction. He continued, y'all ain't cried enough. Y'all ain't lost enough. Straight up, man. The anguish in that statement was palpable. That's someone who's genuinely buried loved ones, actually mourned real friends, telling others they lack the authority to critique his action. Then he delivered the reality check. Y'all better stick to rapping, man. Essentially saying, y'all can't handle the discussion y'all attempting with me. Y'all should remain in y'all lane and focus on music, because regarding authentic street dynamics and that lifestyle's weight, y'all lack qualification. And here's where it intensifies. 21 started addressing people claiming street credibility but haven't been visible in 30 years. People acting tough on Area 59, which means y'all operating from safe distances, not actually active anymore. Y'all be gangsters on Area 59, man. Remote location. Haven't seen y'all in 30 years. That's him exposing internet tough guys. People talking aggressive from safety, but aren't genuinely active in their neighborhoods currently. Let me explain something else crucial to this situation. When 21 questions how can you tell somebody from a whole other state what they are, you don't even know. He's addressing something legitimate. Hip-hop's always had this issue where people from different cities try dictating to others how to operate, and it never ends well. 21 represents Atlanta. YB represents Baton Rouge. These are completely distinct environments with separate gang dynamics, different codes, different everything. Simultaneously though, violence remains violence, death remains death, suffering remains suffering. That's universal. So 21 could argue his message crosses geographical boundaries. We need to step back and examine what this conflict represents for hip-hop culture broadly. This transcends two artists disagreeing. This represents fundamental tension in hip-hop between maintaining authenticity and personal growth. Hip-hop has consistently prioritized authenticity above nearly everything. So when someone like 21 Savage, who established his career as one of the most legitimate street rappers, begins promoting messaging that appears contradictory to that image, it creates confusion for some people. They're questioning, is he still authentic? Is this publicity? Is he contradictory? Or is he genuinely attempting evolution and helping others? Conversely, you have artists like YB who won't modify their messaging or soften their presentation regardless of wealth or fame levels. And there's authenticity in that approach too. Let's confront the obvious question though. Is 21 Savage contradictory? Some observers note he still creates street-oriented music occasionally. He still references violence in certain tracks. He still maintains connections with people active in street life. He supported one side in the Dirk versus YB conflict, which is street beef. So how can he pivot and say F the streets? 21 confronted this during his rant. I'm trying to change my life. I'm trying to save the streets. I'm trying to stop all this crazy stuff that be going on. This stuff is unnecessary. I'm trying to be a part of the solution. The critical word is trying. He's not claiming perfection or complete separation from street culture. He's stating he's attempting transformation. He's working toward improvement, and that reflects reality. Transformation isn't instantaneous, but not everyone will interpret it that way. Some demand clear separation. Either you're street or you're not. Choose one. They reject ambiguity. Here's what's wild about all this though. While 21 and YB exchange words, while supporters choose sides and argue online, young people in disadvantaged areas continue dying daily. That reality gets overlooked in all this. 21's messaging, regardless of opinions about him personally, fundamentally concerns preserving lives. It's about offering young people alternatives to a lifestyle that, statistically, ends in incarceration or death. So when 21 says F the streets, he's rejecting a system that channels young black and brown youth into cycles of violence, imprisonment, and premature death. But YB and others sharing his perspective have valid points too. It's simple to say F the streets after achieving success. When you've accumulated millions, can relocate family to safety, have security personnel, have choices. What about youth still trapped there? What about people without escape routes currently? For them, the streets might not represent choice. It might represent survival. That's YB's meaning when he declares, "I am the streets. I love the streets." He's not celebrating violence. He's expressing love for his origins. He loves his people still there, and he won't pretend superiority just because he achieved fame. What's frustrating about this entire situation is middle ground should exist, but neither party seems interested in finding it. 21 could recognize his messaging might seem condescending to people currently facing that reality. While maintaining violence reduction deserves pursuit, YB could recognize that despite pride in his origins, the violence cycle can't continue indefinitely, and breaking it has merit. That complexity disappears. There's zero room for nuance, zero space for respecting both viewpoints. So what's next? Currently, we're stuck waiting. 21 made his statement, YB made his statement, and everyone's anticipating whether this intensifies or deflates. The risk is this evolving beyond rhetoric. Hip-hop history shows repeatedly where verbal disputes transform into actual violence. And that would be peak irony. A conflict initiated over 21 attempting to decrease street violence, resulting in additional street violence. But there's possibility this simply disappears. Neither really benefits from escalation. They've both accumulated excessive wealth, excessive stakes. Reality is, hip-hop requires both perspectives. We need people like 21 willing to stand firm and declare, we must improve. But we also need people like YB who won't sanitize the reality of ongoing struggles. The issue emerges when these perspectives become adversarial rather than complementary, when it transforms into conflict rather than conversation. And that captures hip-hop's current state. We can't even reach consensus on whether advising people against killing each other is positive. That demonstrates how deeply ingrained this street culture runs. But I'll state this. 21 Savage defended his position and clarified he won't retreat from his message regardless of opposition. Simultaneously, NBA Youngboy clarified he won't compromise for anyone and will continue representing the streets his way. Time will reveal whether this conflict intensifies or they discover coexistence despite different philosophies. But one certainty, the dialogue is happening currently, and that matters, regardless of opinions on 21's methodology. Ultimately, both are communicating their authentic experiences. 21's communicating from someone who escaped and wants preventing others from enduring his experiences. YB's communicating from someone currently navigating these streets. Perhaps rather than debating correctness, we should explore extracting value from both perspectives to create actual change. How can we respect our origins while simultaneously pursuing better futures? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Is 21 correct pushing the F the Streets campaign? Or is YB correct that you can't dictate another person's path? Think this conflict will intensify, or will they resolve it? Share your perspectives below. Smash that like button and subscribe, because obviously we're documenting all hip-hop developments as they unfold. This situation is nowhere near finished. Believe that.
Y'all want to put YB in this. YB a good artist. We ain't against YB, he a good artist. He may have some issues, but he a good artist. But everybody know you hoes with them folks. You did that.
Ain't nothing colder than your baby mama smashing your fake op because you and NBA Youngboy ain't ops. You was actually idolizing that man.
NLE Choppa is going head-to-head with NBA Youngboy, one of the most notorious figures in the game. Youngboy even took it too far by flying out NLE Choppa's baby mama and kid out to his crib. What started as typical rap beef and online back and forth quickly spiraled into something deeply personal, resulting in one of hip-hop's most audacious and disrespectful plays. We've got the receipts, video clips, live stream recordings, and direct statements from all parties caught up in this chaotic mess. The real story of how this conflict evolved from standard industry drama into an intimate revenge saga is far more deliberate and savage than most people realize. We're discussing blocked contacts, kids being used as pawns, interstate travel arrangements, and vindictive schemes straight out of a primetime drama series. Every piece of this puzzle is about to be laid out. We're diving into some genuine street-level controversy that's been shaking the hip-hop world and proving why choosing the right co-parent matters more than ever. This whole situation got everything you could think of. Backstabbing, payback, family issues, and damage that's gonna mess up innocent kids for years. If you ain't been paying attention, NLE Choppa and NBA Youngboy been going at each other for a while now. We talking about two of the hottest young dudes in rap right now. Both from down south, both got that street background, and both got egos that's bigger than their paychecks. This whole thing kicked off over some industry beef and territory issues, but then it jumped to a completely different level, straight personal. Now look, in hip-hop, we all know beefing is just part of the game. Rappers throw shots at each other, fans pick their side, and most of the time it stays in the music. But what happened with Choppa was different, because it started messing with his personal business, his family, and most importantly, his kids. Things really heated up when Choppa started making certain moves that Youngboy's people wasn't feeling. You could watch the beef building up in their songs. Hidden shots, indirect mentions, that energy that lets you know something's coming without actually saying names. Both these artists got fan bases that's ready to ride for any disrespect they see. Now let's get into this baby mama drama, because knowing the background is key to understanding why everything got so out of hand. NLE Choppa was still young as hell when he got with this chick. We talking about a 19-year-old dealing with a woman who was 26 to 27 years old and already had way more experience with life. His own moms called this out later on live, talking about how this woman was trying to get a 19-year-old to wife her up when she was pushing 30. That's a major red flag right there. When you got that big of an age gap and different levels of maturity, the power dynamic gets all twisted. Not too long ago, this baby mama decided to hop on social media and start talking crazy. She was tweeting about Choppa, then came out with one of the most disrespectful things you could say. But before she dropped that bombshell, she was already playing games, posting throwback pictures, making indirect posts, doing all that toxic stuff people do when they fishing for attention. Then she really went too far. This woman got online and said her son, who's also NLE Choppa's son, thinks NBA Youngboy is his daddy. She said her kid calls Youngboy daddy instead of his real pops. Let that sit with you for a second. She basically said her own kid got brainwashed into thinking his father's enemy is his father. For anybody who might not get how deep this cuts, let me put you on game. In our culture, having your kid call another man daddy, especially your op, is the ultimate level of disrespect. This is the type of mess that starts real beef in the streets. This is how people end up getting seriously hurt over pride and disrespect. But here's what's really messed up about all this. She's using her own kid as a weapon. This baby ain't asked to be in this mess, but his mama is manipulating him just to hurt his father. That's straight psychological warfare, and the kid's gonna be the one suffering from it later. But yo, it gets even worse. Come to find out, this woman ain't just blocked Choppa from talking to his son, she blocked his whole family. We talking about blocking his mother, blocking his grandmother, an 81-year-old woman who just trying to see her great-grandbaby. Think about that for a second. An 81-year-old grandma who probably helped raise Choppa and loves that baby to death can't even call to check on her great-grandchild because this woman blocked her number. That ain't just petty, that's straight cruel. So while this baby mama on social media crying about how Choppa don't call his son, don't spend time with him, don't care about him, she's the one stopping any contact from happening. She's creating the exact situation she's complaining about, then using it to make Choppa look like a deadbeat dad. This type of parental alienation is real, and it does damage. When you turn a kid against their parent, when you block all communication, when you replace the parent with somebody else, especially an enemy, you messing with that child's head. This shows a pattern of manipulative behavior that goes way past just being mad at your baby daddy. This is calculated mind games designed to cause maximum damage to Choppa's relationship with his son and make him look bad as a father. Now imagine being in Choppa's shoes. You a young father trying to be there for your kid, but your baby mama done blocked you and your whole family. Then she gets on social media lying about the whole situation, making you look like you don't care about your own son. That's enough to make anybody lose it. So when she posted that video talking about how their son thinks Youngboy is his daddy, Choppa hit his breaking point. He commented under that video, and what he said shocked everybody. He wrote, "Cracker for me, slime." And for those who don't know street talk, that basically means go ahead and get with her, since she was begging for attention. Now, some people might think that comment was out of pocket, but let me break down what was really happening mentally. Choppa was hurt, mad, and feeling like he had no control. His baby mama was using his own kid against him, and he couldn't do nothing about it legally or otherwise. So he did the one thing he could do. He gave his enemy the green light to use her the same way she was using their child. Real talk, that comment right there shows you how hurt and angry Choppa was. But it also shows how smart he is. He knew exactly what would go down if he put that out there. He knew Youngboy would see it. He knew his baby mama would see it. And he knew it would start a chain reaction that would expose her for what she really is. And NBA Youngboy, he took that invitation and ran with it. According to multiple sources, including statements from his own crew, Youngboy hit up Choppa's baby mama, flew her and the baby out to Utah, and did exactly what Choppa said. He cracked her. We talking about Youngboy flying this woman and her kid, Choppa's kid, all the way across the country to his spot. That ain't just getting with somebody. That's making a statement. That's showing the world he can take whatever he wants from his enemy, including his baby mama. But here's the real thing though. This wasn't just about cracking somebody. This was about power, control, and sending a message. Youngboy knew that getting with his enemy's baby mama would be the ultimate disrespect, and he did it anyway. He knew it would hurt Choppa, hurt the family, and create even more drama. After it went down, the streets started buzzing. Baby Joe, one of Youngboy's people, got on live and basically confirmed everything. He talked about how he knew the woman from back when she was doing Wild and Out, and how the whole thing happened in Atlanta and Utah. When NLE Choppa's mom found out what happened, she went all the way off. And I mean off. This woman who raised Choppa, who loved that grandbaby, who been blocked from seeing her own great-grandchild, she had enough. Mama Choppa got on live and went in on that baby mama like never before. She didn't hold nothing back. She didn't try to be nice about it. She didn't care about looking good for the cameras. She spoke straight from the heart as a hurt grandmother and mother. Mama Choppa said, and I quote, "Everybody know what you got going on. You think we don't know? You think that man gonna get on live and not say what really happened? Everybody know that you was messing with them folks. You did that. You think we don't know?" She basically called out the baby mama for getting with Youngboy, and she said it with her whole chest. She was speaking with the confidence of somebody who got receipts and ain't scared to pull them out. But the most heartbreaking part was when Mama Choppa revealed the truth about the whole blocking situation. She said, "How the hell you gonna call him when y'all got him on block? Y'all blocked me. Y'all blocked my mama who's 81 years old. My mama shouldn't be worried about whether she can see her great-grandchildren or not." She talked about how much the 81-year-old grandmother loved that baby and how messed up it was to keep them apart. This is when the real truth came out. The baby mama wasn't just being petty on social media. She was actively stopping Choppa from seeing his own son. She had him all blocked, then had the nerve to get online acting like Choppa wasn't trying to be in his child's life. Mama Choppa also called out the age difference, saying, "He's 19 and you're 26 years old. You done lived your life. You done seen the world. He ain't seen nothing. But you want him to marry you at 19? You crazy. You're a Looney Tune." She exposed that this woman was pressuring a 19-year-old to marry her when she was almost 30. That explains a lot about the power dynamic in this relationship and why things got so toxic when he said no. When you get with your op's baby mama, especially after he basically tells you to do it out of anger, you crossing lines that got real consequences. In the streets, this kind of disrespect can get people hurt bad. We ain't talking about regular relationship problems. We talking about violating somebody's family, their bloodline, their whole legacy. That's the type of stuff that starts real wars. But the real victim in all this? That innocent kid. This baby gonna grow up knowing his mama got with his father's enemy, that she used him like a pawn, that she kept him away from his daddy's family. That's the kind of trauma that sticks with you forever. This whole mess shows how toxic relationships can blow up and hurt everybody around them. When grown folks can't handle their feelings like adults, kids end up being collateral damage in their beef. Social media made everything 10 times worse. Instead of keeping this behind closed doors, everybody involved put their business out there for the whole world to watch. That kid gonna grow up with all this drama recorded on the internet forever. This whole thing should be a lesson in spotting red flags early. Age gaps, manipulation, using kids as weapons, blocking family members. These are all warning signs of toxic behavior you gotta run from ASAP. When you picking somebody to have kids with, you ain't just picking somebody to date. You picking a co-parent for life. You picking somebody who's gonna have access to your child, influence over your child, and the power to make your life either good or terrible. From a legal perspective, parental alienation is real, and courts take that stuff seriously. When you block a parent from seeing their kid without a good reason, when you turn a child against their parent, you can face some serious legal problem. The damage from this situation ain't just gonna affect Chopper and his baby mama. It's gonna affect that child for his whole life. When he grows up and realizes what really happened, how his mama used him as a weapon, how she kept him from his father's family, that's gonna mess with his mental.